together. It seems like you have been away forever. Things change, things rearrange, the house remains the same. I can't wait for you and I to be together. 'Cause it's your love, your love, your love, your love, your love. I'm forever in your love. Cause it's your love, your love, your love, your love, your love. I'm forever in your love. I'm feeling down, my head's spun around. Come on, kitty, it's heading to town. I got a case of the blue days, wanna trade for a rainy day. Pick up a stick, give it a flick. Wish you were here, it's making me sick. Another day it's gonna strain. I'm only 7 days away from your love, your love, your love, your love, your love. I'm forever in your love. Cause it's your love, your love, your love, your love, your love. I'm forever in your love. In 6 days, you and I will be together. I can't wait to give you so much pleasure. 5, 4, 3, the longest is for me. 2 to 1, you here, let's have some fun. Baby, I just wanna kiss your lips forever. It's your love, your love, your love, your love, your love. I'm forever in your love. Cause it's your love, your love, your love, your love, your love. I'm forever in your love. Cause it's your love. I used to walk all alone in the park, and I don't know why, but I'd start to cry.
I used to think that I'd never find the one till you walked by, till you walked by.
I turned to look and you met me at the eyes. I felt the vibe when you said hi.
I never believed in love at first sight till you walked by, till you walked by.
Now I'm covered in you,
I'm covered in you
like sand in the sunshine. I close my eyes and I know I'm fine, and it feels so good. Been waiting for a lifetime. I feel anew, I'm covered in you.
Sometimes I think that love is just a word that people say, then it flies away.
I never thought that surely one day it'd come my way. Well, it'd come my way.
And now I find myself standing in white here next to you, staring in your eyes.
Can't wait to tell you those two words I do. Baby, you're mine. Baby, you're mine. Now I'm covered in you.
I'm covered in you.
Like standing in the sunshine. I close my eyes and I know I'm fine. And it feels so good. Been waiting for a lifetime. I feel anew. I'm covered in you. Girl, I'm so lucky.
Boy, I'm so glad
You came into my life. We got each other.
more than we had.
Now I found you. I'm no longer Now I'm covered in you.
I'm covered in you.
Like standing in the sunshine. I close my eyes and I know I'm fine. And it feels so good. Been waiting for a lifetime. I feel anew. I'm covered in you.
I'm covered in you.
I'm covered in you.
I'm covered in you.
I'm covered in you. I'm covered in you. Since you've been gone, my heart has been torn, babe. I don't know what to do. Where do I begin? Seems I've lost my only friend. There's gotta be something that I can do. My heart is saying, ooh, ooh, oh, 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 oh. Feels like I'm dying, ooh, ooh, oh, 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 oh. I know I really hurt you, baby, deep down in my soul. Now my heart is crying, ooh, ooh, oh, 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 oh. I've sent 10 dozen roses. Girl, I miss your closeness, but you won't even talk to me. I know you made up your mind, but I just want a little time to tell you that I miss you and me. My heart is saying, ooh, ooh, oh, 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 oh. Feels like I'm dying, ooh, ooh, oh, 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 oh. I know I really hurt you, baby, deep down in my soul. Now my heart is crying, ooh, oh, 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 oh. Girl, I really know I messed up here. All I've only got is just a prayer. I hope you truly know how much I care. Babe, I haven't seen you for a while. Been trying to call you up on your mobile. I just need to see your face, your smile. My heart is saying, ooh, oh, 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 oh. It's like I'm dying. Ooh, oh, 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 oh. I know I really hurt you, baby, deep down in your soul. Now my heart is crying, ooh, 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 oh, 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 oh. My heart
Hi, I'm Laura Faye Smith, actress and voice actress, and you are tuned in to Annie Talks.
Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. If you're brand new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by.
Annie talks, Annie talks. Welcome to the show. Here we go with Annie talks. Annie talks, Annie talks. Welcome to the show. Here's the host. It's Annie talks.
Hello everybody. Hi everybody and welcome to the Annie Talk Show. I'm so happy you are all here. Hello, hello, hello. I don't see everybody in chat just now. So if you're there, I promise you, I want to welcome you all. Hello, hello. I am super excited for you guys to be here. Let me tell you why. Partly because one, this is another day, another day that we get to enjoy life, right? And two, we don't normally stream on Thursday nights or during the week sometimes, but I have a very, very, very special guest. I'm super excited for all of you guys to meet her, and you will in just a minute. It is a very special night of podcasting. We have a really special show coming up this coming weekend. You guys will hear all about it throughout the whole entire podcast. I promise you. It is the SoCal Gaming Expo here in Ontario, which is not too far from here. And it's happening this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And my special guest will be there. She's so gracious and so willing to be here tonight to share just some of her lovely work with all of you, and just what she's been doing in the many years of recording. I'm going to go right into her spiel in just a second, but I want to welcome everybody here. Thank you also very much. Please go tell your friends that we're here on the Annie Talk Show. I really appreciate it if you guys just go and spread the word. Okay, so now a little bit more about my guest. My guest is Laura Faye Smith. She is an actor, voice actor, improviser. Is that how you say it? Improviser and teacher. She has voiced Princess Rosalina for Nintendo Super Mario Brothers games, Noelle for Genshin Impact, which many of you guys play, Guinevere and Lolita for Mobile Legends Adventure, Kana, who's a male character for Nintendo's English cast of Fire Emblem Fates, and numerous characters for Mad Head Games. She is a series regular on the Sojourn audio drama as Tamara Meds Malari, and has narrated multiple audiobooks. She played Dieta Calvert on NBC's Grimm and has appeared on TNT's Leverage, as well as in Investigation Discovery's Betrayed and Stranger Among Us. She has a list of just credits to her name, you guys. She's awesome. She is a world traveler, passionate foodie, dog lover, documentary junkie, avid reader, stand-up paddler, which I love to hear about that, and sugar addict. You guys, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the show, the one, the only, Laura Faye Smith. Laura, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, I'm so excited that you're here. Believe me, it's like a long time. I put the word out there, and I was nervous that I hadn't heard. And then I know you were super, super gracious and busy, really busy with your schedule.
It's been, well, yeah, because we just had Pensacon last week, and then the SoCal Gaming Expo this week. So they kind of like landed right next to each other.
Yeah. So it's honestly, it's been an endeavor to, not so much an endeavor, just, she was so gracious, you guys, to be a part of today's show. And I'm so happy that she's here. So Laura, we told the audience just a small snippet about who you are, but if you could tell us a little bit more about who Laura Faye Smith is, fill in the gaps not already mentioned above in the bio and whatnot, such as maybe some of your background info and just basically who Laura Faye Smith leading it up to today.
Um, sure. I mean, I don't want to like go, I was born on a, you
Oh, sure,
know.
do it. We have all night.
I mean, like kind of the cliff notes of it. I actually was born in San Jose, and when I was really young, like probably like 3, my family moved to Oregon, and I grew up in a really small town there. It's the capital. Salem,
Right,
Oregon,
right.
is the capital of Oregon, but it's small. And then I moved to Portland after I graduated from college and lived there for a while, and then just 4 years ago, I moved here, so I'm starting my 5th year in LA, and that kind of like brings it up to date. And in the meantime of that, I, kind of established an acting career when I was in Portland. Like I started acting when I was in high school, and that was like mostly doing like live theater, but a little bit of film and television and voiceover stuff. And then I've had many other jobs because in,
Yeah.
in, a, s- in a city like Portland, it's a little harder to make a living as an actor. You can do it, and I
Yeah.
did, but you really need to be working in all disciplines. So I was doing live theater. I am. I'm saying was because so little live theater seems to happen lately with COVID. But um,
Yeah.
in Portland, I was mostly doing live theater as an equity actor, and then doing other stuff. But I also worked in the corporate world, in the nonprofit world. I've answered phones and waited tables and done all those other things like everyone else does to pay the bills. Many, many unglamorous jobs in my life. So,
But hey, that adds to the variety of what you can do, what you can pull out of your hat, basically.
oh,
Life experiences, right?
100%. In fact, I remember getting cast in a show once, and the setting was kind of this very hierarchical office environment, I
Right.
guess would be the best way to put it. It was like there's kind of a pecking order to people, and my character was kind of like um being, just like really kind of mean. She was like a mid-level manager and was like being really crappy to everyone who worked for her. And I'm like, I know this, you know what I mean? Like, because I'd worked in offices, and it's like this is I know exactly what to pull from for this.
Right.
I was like, I have witnessed this. I have like moderated arguments for people over stuff like this. So yeah, like everything you do, it's so interesting, because I think there's a director I really liked working with at Portland Center Stage, and I remember I was teaching a teen acting workshop for kids in the summer, and someone asked her, like, where should I study and what should I do? And she said, literally you can major in anything and still be an actor. And she said sometimes people who just are acting, acting, acting can get a little singular because it's really lots of experiences that help you be a good actor. Like
Right.
when actors are great observers of people, and you draw from everything. And like I know so many actors who are not like these big, yeah, what do you call it? Extroverted showman personalities. They're quiet, shy, and introverted people watchers, and they just kind of like sit and watch and create characters, and they're like drinking it all in, and using what they see to create characters later for stuff that they're doing. And I for sure like draw from people I know sometimes when I'm trying to create characters.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so super exciting. I'd love to hear maybe some live like voice characters that we can come up with. I'm encouraging some of you people in chat, by the way, just so everybody knows, we will have a Q&A right afterwards. So if you like what you hear and you want to know a little bit more, then feel free to write your questions there. I do have mods here that will basically kind of filter some of your questions. There's some questions that we can't ask, just for privacy and NDA purposes and whatnot, but we'll be sure to try to answer as many as we can for all of you guys out there. But if I do encourage you, maybe if I'm encouraging here to like maybe if we can throw maybe a few character voices, say, come up with something interesting and fun. I would love to see how she pulls, what her creative process is to be able to come up with some of those voices. I've always been intrigued by voice acting, and I'm not obviously the caliber you are, but I definitely have been intrigued by it all my life, and I love radio and I love all that. So, which is why I'm doing what I do. But I'd love to be able to hear some of the creativity that you come up with.
What I think is interesting about, voice acting anymore is a lot of voice acting isn't doing voices, like funny voices. A lot of times it's sounding a lot like you might sound. So
Right.
like when I meet people who are like trying to lose their dialect or like sound like someone who already exists, I'm like, well, if they've got that person, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like they've got the person who sounds like that. So you should sound like you. And sometimes they really want you to sound like you. And like they really want to hear that true Louisiana dialect, or they really want to hear that, like an Asian dialect or whatever, like whatever it is, they want the real thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and especially more and more now, they're really, there's been that whole scuttlebutt around a lot of Caucasian actors, voicing actors of, different races and things. And like, I think people probably heard about the whole thing with The Simpsons where, they're trying to recast things with people of the actual ethnicity of the character
Oh,
that it
right.
is.
Uh-huh.
Like there's a lot of that happening in the voiceover world, like certain actors stepping away from roles, or now it's certainly when they're casting, you will definitely see them say, we definitely want someone, like we've drawn it to look that way, and we want someone who actually is that.
Got it.
We don't want like someone who can just do a voice that sounds like that. So that's why I'm just like, yeah, do you, like
Yeah.
more than ever now than ever before, someone just sounding like they are. And even people who sound like really young, like you don't always sound young. Your voice changes with time,
True.
as you age, and you sound different. Like think about anyone like grandparenty whose voice kind of goes more into that, like as they age.
Right.
You sound like the age you are right now, and like make money off that
Yeah.
because it won't be with you forever. You won't be able to do that till the end of time.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's something strange about your voice where it kind of is locked in. And in that case, man, you're going to make a ton of money because who wouldn't want to work with an adult who can sound like a 4-year-old?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like because it's so much easier to direct an adult and you don't have child labor laws and you don't have to have like a parent on set and all that. Like if you've got a 30-year-old who can sound 4 and that's just their normal speaking voice, and trust me, there's people out there like that. Like if you hear them on the phone, you would think they were much younger than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say just find that thing that's you and sell that.
Right. So we'll get into, I have a question about some of your methods as well. I want to be able to kind of dig deep and see, how you come up with some of these, when you're given a script and whatnot. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But I do want to step back just a little bit to, how you got started. I know you touched on that very, very briefly. But for those of us who don't know who Laura Faye Smith is, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you got started into voice acting, or acting as a whole, how that all came about? I know voice acting is different than acting, and acting is different than voice acting. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? Are they about the same?
Well, I'll
Yeah.
you're yes and no, and yeah, we'll talk about that. So, I mean, acting for me was, I mean, I guess really technically started was play acting as a kid, and I think that's where we all start. When you're pretending to be something else. Those games tend to be highly disorganized, and a lot of kids, like bossing each other around. But I was really lucky. I had this really creative, wonderful sister who was just like the best playmate you could ever ask for, and she was a voracious reader on top of that.
Wow.
And so, like our games that we would play, a lot of times she'd pulled like from books she was reading, the plots and stuff of what we played. We rarely just like played with our Barbies and just dressed them up in pretty outfits. Like we always would use like fabric scraps and create like really crazy costumes. She was reading a lot of sci-fi, I know at one point, I
Oh, wow.
remember. And I like, where it's like you almost need like a separate dictionary to understand the world of it. Like some would have glossaries in them just so you would be able to read them. But that's kind of, I mean, I think where that kind of thing started. But then, I didn't really have intentions of being an actor at all. And then she started doing drama when she was in high school, and I was a couple years younger than her. And so my mom would pick me up from middle school, which was across the, like just the high school and the middle school were next to each other. And her rehearsals, or like her play rehearsal, always went a little late. And so we would always end up watching the end of rehearsal. And I remember just thinking it was weird was the best word for it. I was just like, it's just so weird, like watching this process of these people work on this play. But as much as I had like kind of a train wreck fascination with it, when that play opened, I went and saw it every single night. Like I was like really wanted to see it every night. And she kept doing them. So she's 2 years older than me. So for 2 years, I would go see her in her shows and was just kind of like, And then I thought, well, I remember thinking, maybe I think because, a lot of times siblings just want to be different from each other. So I was like, I'm going to try out for cheerleading. I thought that's what I was going to do. And then that year that I was supposed to try out, my mom had surgery, and she said, will you wait a year, because we lived really far out in the country. And she said, I'm not going to be able to drive. Your sister doesn't drive yet. Your dad has to work. Can you wait a year? Because it's going to be really hard to get you to these like 6 a.m. practices every
Right.
And I waited a year, and in that interim, I auditioned for a play and got cast, and that was it.
That was
Like
it.
I just knew it.
You got
Yeah,
you got
like
the
I
acting
loved
bug
it.
after that, huh?
It was literally one of the clearest memories I have was like standing on stage and saying, and I had like the second line, like, like someone started off by saying goodbye, goodbye. And then I like had my first line and I can still remember what I was wearing, what it looked like. I was in this high school with this really beautiful, huge old school auditorium where they raised the curtain. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it didn't, they like raised it up and, it felt so, theatrical. But I remember clearly thinking, "Oh, this is what I want. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do." Like that feeling of being on stage and performing, and um, yeah, loved it. And then so didn't look back. But then my parents were like, they didn't know any working actors, and they were like, "This is not something you probably ever make money in." Not because they're mean, just they had no blueprint. They didn't know anyone who wasn't
Right.
like super famous, like on TV or in a movie. They didn't think about all the actors you see in TV shows that aren't famous or that are just like character actors showing up all over the place. Like that just isn't something I think if you grow up somewhere in something not like LA or New York or, anything that has a fairly thriving
Mm-hmm.
entertainment industry, in which Salem did not. We didn't even have a theater there. Like we had movie theaters, but we didn't have any live theater. You had to like drive to other cities to go do even community theater.
Right.
Um, and I did, but it was, I think for them, they were just like, that's a real huge waste of money. So I majored in English and snuck a theater major in
There
basically.
you go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like so that was my minor, but I ended up taking so many classes just because I wanted to. If I'd gone one more term, I would have had 2 degrees, like one in English and one in theater,
Oh, nice.
just because I was taking so many classes. And then, yeah, I got out and I went to work in the corporate world and stuff because I wanted to move out and make money. And I would then just got cast in a lot of improv theater right out of school, which I had no idea really how to do, but they were paying me to do it. So I kind of learned on the job for that. And then,
Really?
yeah, it was one of those really weird experiences where I never even thought I thought I'm going to be a dramatic actress, I'm going to be like
Right.
Meryl Streep. And then moved and started auditioning and everything that I got cast in was like comedy improv. And I was just not sure why,
Yeah.
but that happened. And then had really great experiences as a result. And then after a certain point, I became equity and, was doing that and, building, and then voiceover started. So this is why I was saying, if you're saying acting and voiceover are different, yes and no, because when people say, what should I do to be a voice actor? I'm like, take acting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because if you just want to do commercial, like if you just want to be like an announcer, maybe you could get away with not having acting if you just want to kind of, read stuff. But the majority of the stuff I book is even in commercials is like characters in a commercial, like it opens on a character ranting about something,
Right.
but you really are technically playing a character. Certainly for video games and animation, you better be some level of an actor because it's just acting. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
any other acting job, but the characters are drawn and not seen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, and then I kind of fell into voiceover because my agent for like TV commercial stuff sent me a voiceover audition, and it was for like an industrial for Kroger, like it was for the training on their deli, something really boring. But I did that, and I enjoyed it so much because I didn't have to memorize anything or put on makeup.
Right.
And, if you messed up, it wasn't like live theater where you had to just go on. You could like stop and re-record it. And I was like, that's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I ended up getting an agent that was just specifically voiceover, who then that's, where I got like Nintendo from. Um, and moved to LA and just all continues. But in the meantime, yeah, I've done a lot of other things just to,
Mm-hmm.
to pay bills because that's kind of how it is when you start acting.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, and as we know, it brings with it the life experiences. So, like you said, we can pull from those experiences. We can pull from those memories or those feelings and those emotions. Anytime you get a script and whatnot. I'd love to talk about that if we could. Like if you were to get a script, let's say you were to get a script and it's presented to you in let's throw something out there. What would be something that you would get? You get a script for maybe I know we have some mom commercials that we wanted to show as well, but let's say you were to play like an aunt or something, or an aunt to a nephew who is maybe getting an award in school. I mean, what would be like your thought process? How would you see the script and then what kind of process would go through
Well,
go through?
a lot of times they'll send you artwork, which
Hmm.
is great.
Right.
So suddenly you know what that character looks like. So
Oh,
and
even
if they
better.
just
Hmm.
said it's an ant, I'm like, well, what kind of an ant? Like, I mean, is it a thin, nervous, skinny little ant, or is it a big, roly-poly ant, or, is it one like, with like crazy eyes, or you sometimes, a lot of times you look at the visual image and that'll tell you a lot.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll usually have a little bit of a character description. So, like, let's say it was Annette the ant is, Andy Ant's aunt. And she's, she overbearing, bossy, highly strung, blah 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 blah. So it'll kind of give you like a little dossier character
Sure.
description, right? And so if it was saying things like that about her, then you're gonna make her kind of loud, and maybe you'd make her from New York or something like that. And she'd be, oh, Andy, and so you might do something like that. But but then you might do a lot of times you'll do two reads.
Yeah.
You won't just read one thing. You'll be like, well, that's one way I could go with it, but maybe I would maybe picture really high up here, and she'd just be really nervous and overbearing. And oh, Andy, oh, you're getting the award, Jim. That's so great. And it'd be something like that. And things like laughter, are important to do in that. Like hearing characters laugh and, maybe making some decisions about where they could possibly be from. All different things like that. But a lot of it to me, like, starts with artwork. Like, if they send it, and more often than not, you will have a picture
Oh,
of
I
some
love
kind.
that. I had no idea about the artwork. I knew about the scripts and whatnot, but I had no idea about the artwork. That's very helpful, and it helps you kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah, I love that. It helps you
And,
get
and you
into.
don't always get it, but
Yeah.
a lot of times you will. And if you do, then instantly you just look at it and go, oh, okay. For that like, I'm sure most people listening at some point probably got like a stuffed animal when they were a kid and gave it a voice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was probably based on the way it looked. If it was like, a big elephant, it might have been a little bit more of a voice like this, or if it was like a chipmunk, they might have made it make it squeaky sounds or something like that. But when kids look at things and attribute voices to it, you're not really doing anything that much different as an adult
I love that.
in this gig. It's play. It really is. And that's why can it be work, quote unquote, I suppose, but it really does feel more like play to me.
Right.
I'm not saying every job is like wonderful and easy, or, sometimes you're working with people that could be hard to please, or, direction isn't clear, but in general, like coming in and deciding what something should sound like and kind of bringing your creativity and having fun with it, that is a great time. And
Awesome.
I will say for I want to say, yeah, for some things, I'm just thinking right now. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I knew what the character, like, I didn't know what Noelle looked like when I auditioned for her.
Really? Uh-huh.
Like, I didn't get a visual for that one, but I had there's characteristics a lot of times of characters. They'll give you that instead. So they might say, oh, this person's very shy, or, warm, sweet, good mom, or whatever it is.
I love that. Now, also, so how do you stay fresh and when it comes to like your character developments or your voice? Gosh, for lack of a, because I'm not really sure what we call it in the industry, or is it just voice acting? So how do you
Yeah.
how do you
For voice, how do I stay fresh?
yeah, how do you stay fresh? I mean, how do you keep like, do you have like are you so superstitious? Do you have a regime? Do you have like do you have a process that you have to like continue to continue to follow to make sure you keep your voice fresh and growing up, I used to scream a lot, and that's why I had laryngitis so much. So how do you keep from that? How do you? I'm just curious how Laura Faye Smith keeps herself fresh with all the different types of characters that you would develop.
I mean, the biggest thing for me is I try to, like, if I'm going to do something that's pretty vocally rigorous, doing some kind of physical exercise before I record is actually pretty important because it increases your lung capacity.
Okay.
So if I have, because otherwise you find yourself kind of sometimes like gasping for air. So if I'm doing a character that talks really fast and really manic, I'll like go hiking before I do that or something, or, go run on a treadmill, anything to just increase that, so that when I'm doing that, my body is as warmed up. And voice acting is not just standing super still in front of a microphone and just using the sound of your voice. Like, it's really physical. Like when I gesture a lot and I hit my
Your boom mic.
I've hit the mic many times, and I've hit my music stand where my lines are many times, or I'll hit the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Like that happens a lot, like if I'm kind of flailing around, while I'm doing stuff and moving. But it actually really helps the way you sound. So,
Oh, yeah.
you're not just like kind of standing stiffly in front of the mic when you're recording. You're using your body and you're inhabiting it. That's again why you study acting as opposed to you study voice.
Got it.
And in terms of like keeping fresh, I mean, taking classes, it doesn't matter really where you're at in your career. You can still get burnout and boredom or, hit a creative lull. All
Mm-hmm.
those things will still happen. So it is pretty important to like continue to find ways to challenge yourself, um, mix things up. And it is so interesting because there's times where you're booking like crazy and you're just like, oh my God, this is great. And you think you know why. And then you think you're doing all the same stuff and then suddenly you're not. And it's very hard to predict what's going on the other side as to why you do and don't book
Right.
gigs.
Right.
And I would say, any like coaching with people, coaching with other friends, there's a lot of people will do like workout groups where you just go and just for fun, you just are like, and then taking feedback from people and trying different things, like just groups of other voice actors working and workshopping together
Mm-hmm.
for no particular purpose, but or bringing real material that you have to work on to those situations is great. I took a voiceover class recently, like an animation voiceover class, and picked up all sorts of new stuff. And I
Wow.
actually, have jobs like that already, and I still learned a ton of things because you have to remember industries change, especially with technology and things like that. They change all the time.
Right.
And I think to just be like, well, I was successful 10 years ago, and that means I'm successful forever. It's like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
adapt and die. You've got to know what's going on in the industry, know what trends are, and count on the fact that there's people out there who are going to figure things out about it that never occurred to you. And if you can go hang out with them and talk to them and hear that, I mean, you can gain all sorts of great new tools and ideas. And so I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to be judicious about taking training just because it's a time commitment, and if you're busy and you're working or you're
Mm-hmm.
traveling or you're doing
Mm-hmm.
other things, it's hard to like attend classes. But
Right.
if I find that I have time to take one and the financial resources to take them,
Mm-hmm.
I love doing it.
Now, how has the industry been during like the pandemic? I know that people, kind of shy away from these kinds of questions. I just want to see how did it impact your line
I
of
have
work?
to say it was not as bad, I think, for voiceover as a lot of other
Right.
industries because you're by yourself for the most part.
Mm.
Yes, some shows record all in the same room, and there's certain things like loop groups and things like that, that are a bunch of people in a room. But everything I was doing was me alone in a studio, the engineer, and we're in like separate rooms. It was like getting spy directions when the pandemic started, where
Yeah.
it'd be like, go to this door, wear your mask, no, not ring the bell. Someone will answer. They will take your temperature. Proceed then, if your temperature's okay, proceed down, and then go up to this. Shut the door behind you. Adjust them. It was like it was a way to just make it contact free.
Yeah.
So that was the thing I was doing that felt to me um, really low risk, and actually
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't feel nervous about doing that
Right.
because I wasn't with anybody.
Yeah.
And then even things that you can record from home, like a certain amount of things, went to home recording stuff where it could be done. Not as ideal, for if you don't have like an actual full professional booth.
Right.
That was, and everybody was home, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
Like if everybody's gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you live in an apartment or something, then you have less chance of terrible noise. But if everybody is home, then it was much harder.
Yeah.
Um, that and then like audiobooks, you do that by yourself a lot of
Oh
times. I mean,
yeah.
if you record those on your own, but some people then go in and record them in studio. But there were so many things in voiceover that were possible that I didn't really feel the lull like I
Mm.
think other parts of the industry felt.
Right. Wow, I love
Yeah.
It's so cool to be able to hear. I'm a behind the scenes kind of person. I love to know like all that happens to make a production work or successful, and hearing about all this is just, oh my gosh, music to my ears. So I'm a behind the scenes person for sure. I'd like to know, and I think some of our audience members would like to know a little bit about like who were some of your biggest influencers growing up. Who inspired you then, and who inspires you today?
It's harder for me to, well, because I didn't really plan on being an actor. So, like, I didn't have, like, from childhood, like, I know some people, like,
Mm-hmm.
from the time they were 5 years old, they knew they wanted this job. They knew what they wanted to do. And they were like, I want to be like, Scooby Doo or whatever cartoon they were
Right.
watching. That wasn't me. I do remember when I realized June Foray did all the voices in Rocky and Bullwinkle. I was really knocked out by that. And it
Wow.
kind of, like, went to idol level status in my eyes just because I was like, wait, she's Rocky
And
and Sherman and, Natasha and Sweet Now. Like, I couldn't believe it because I had never really occurred to me because I think a lot of people don't think about the actors, when
right.
you're watching a cartoon. It just feels like this magic thing that happened when you're little. So yeah, that was someone who I definitely, of a voiceover type person whose career I really admired. Um, and then I would say, it was funny, I was just talking about this at Pensacon, like an artist that I'm a huge fan of and admire is David Bowie, just because
Really?
his career was so interesting because, he hit like this huge like rock star status at some point, but he had like a cult following for years and years and years and produced like a ton of work all through like the 70s. And what I find fascinating about as an artist is everything he did sounded like him, but it was very different, like album to album. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
really hear that he was trying different things. And I think in a lot of ways entertaining himself. And when I think about that as like an artistic philosophy, that's something I really subscribe to. Like, you need to like it. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're working, especially when you work on something like voiceover, where you're working by yourself for the most part. Like, yes, you can, have someone coach you and get their opinion on it. But I always think the best and most interesting work, or the work that just tends to really pop out a little bit, is when the person doing it is really likes it. Like, they're
Mm-hmm.
getting entertained by it too. Like, they're interested in what they're doing and they think it's fun and cool, or they're challenged by it in a certain way, or they're borrowing from something that they're fascinated by. That to me is incredibly inspiring to watch. And I think that's why I've always been like really interested in him as an artist, because he was
Mm-hmm.
willing to fail in that way. Like, he was willing to try
Yeah.
stuff. And he got a lot of like, like adulation for things later that weren't beloved at the time. Like, if they talk about the Berlin trilogy of albums, Low, Heroes, and Lodgers, like when Low came out, people didn't get it at all because one side was instrumental and he had a made up language, and Warsaza, one of the songs, like things that his record company, I guess, said to him, we'll pay for you to live in Philly and make another Young Americans. And he was like, no, this is what I'm
Yeah.
doing. This is what's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now those albums are beloved, but at the time they weren't. Like, he wasn't making big money off them.
Mm-hmm.
They were too weird for people. So I do really have a respect, and artistically, other people who like really inspire me, or anyone who has a really clear point of view. So like, I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it because his movies as soon as you see them, you're like, that's a Wes Anderson movie. Like, you can
Mm-hmm.
just he has such a strong point of view. Like, even if you didn't like the movie, you would know one when you saw it.
Right.
And I remember actually not realizing when I saw Fantastic Mr. Fox, not realizing he had directed that. I thought it was just like a regular animated film. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, this feels like a Wes Anderson movie. And then I'm like, oh my God, it
It
is.
is.
It's like his stable of actors. It's him. And I just hadn't caught that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting that I knew it before I went and looked to see like who directed this. And I was like, of course.
Right.
And that I'm really inspired by that kind of stuff, by any art, whatever discipline they're in. If that's how they're doing their career, where I'm like, they're inspired by what they're working on, they're inspired by themselves, they're challenging themselves, and they're willing to do stuff that people might not like,
Mm-hmm.
provided that they don't like it. I admire that a ton. And I even respect stuff from people like that when I don't like the actual thing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still like, I'm so glad you tried that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. That's a great story. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I know this is what everybody wants to hear, so let's talk a little bit about how you started voicing Princess Rosalina in the Nintendo Super Mario Brothers games. This is always the question: how did you get started? Yeah. So yeah, how did you get started?
It just was an audition that came to me through my agent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how, I mean, it's still not that interesting of a story really, but that is how it started. They sent me that audition, and then I ended up getting what's called a directed callback, where they like want you to, be in a booth, and the directors are going to like talk to you and have you do a bunch of different things. And I did that. And then I started, I ended up booking the job.
I didn't
mean,
realize
it
how
was
strong it
pretty
would
much
be.
like any other
Thought it would make him
type
just
of
a
a thing.
little
Like, I
more
know
open.
sometimes people go through like a lot of hoops. Like, I had 7 auditions,
This is what all those
and
women
I didn't
were
hear
like.
for months or
The
whatever.
ones
But
that
this
Bill
was actually
Cosby
pretty
tried to get
standard.
out
Like,
of it.
I did the
don't
audition. I
know,
want to say
and
like
I
a week
don't
or so
want to
later,
know.
they wanted the
We gotta
directed
figure out what
callback.
to do here. We
I
should put
will
him to
say
the
when I did
hospital,
that
or
directed
if he wakes up
callback,
in the
I was
hospital,
very
he'll never go
unsure
out
of
with
how
me
it
again.
went, because they had me, like just do this, a lot of what I had done in the audition, but then they suddenly said, now we want you to do it like a cat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? And they said, oh, she turns into a cat in this game. And I was like, and this was for Super Mario 3D World. But I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
But they just were like, the next game coming up. And I was like, looking at the lines, and I'm like, well, there's no specific like cat line, like just not even knowing what to say. So I was just in the booth just going, meow, and like making all these cat noises for what felt like ever, because no one was coming on and saying stop. So I just went until I ran out of ideas, but I kind of went for a while. And then I paused and it was silent. And then all of a sudden I heard him come on and I could hear people were laughing and they were like, oh, okay, thank you. And then they were gone. And I was like, either
Oh,
either they were enjoying it or
right.
they were just like, that was ridiculous. But I didn't know. I couldn't tell. And so I went out to the engineer who'd been sitting there and I said, how do you think that went? And he was like reading a magazine. He's like, oh, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Oh my
All
goodness.
right.
Thanks a
So
lot.
then so I just went away
Yeah.
and was like, I don't know, maybe that went really well, maybe that was really terrible. But then I found out a little later from my agent that I had booked it.
So we have your reel here on your Rosalina voice from Mario Kart 8. So we're going to play a little bit of that. If you wanted to, maybe we could talk over it, and if there's something that stands out that you want to add some commentary to it, would really love to be able to hear that from you. So we're going to play this reel for you, and for all those of you guys in chat.
Rosalina. All right. Woohoo. No. Ooh. Oh, no. Wow.
Is it playing?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I can't hear it where I am.
Woohoo.
You should hear it now.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the thing I think of most when I hear this is just like that it's so many sounds, right?
Yeah.
Like one word things and then sounds. So like when I've been signing things for people, I was like, what do you know, do you want any kind of quotes on there? But like the majority of what those characters say is this kind of stuff, wee-hoo! All that kind of stuff, or what they call taking damage, where you're like bumping into a wall,
Right,
or falling into water.
So
And that is a lot of a session for a character like that is just coming up with the effort.
They give you so a little bit of direction as to, so there's times where you're going to be, like you said, bumping into a wall, or you're going to be
They call it like they have degrees of damage. They'll say, so this is light damage. So that's like where you just like bump into something, and then they go, this is more medium damage, where it like actually really kind of hurt. And then there's like heavy damage, where you're like getting squashed by something or whatever is going on. So they will tell you specifically types. Sometimes getting bumped or falling or like whatever it is, you'll kind of have an idea of what is supposed to be happening to the character. And then coming up with those sounds. So they have efforts. Efforts is like jumping, or pushing on something.
Right.
Like trying to climb, all those kinds of sounds. Those, but they want like a lot of different various levels because the character's sometimes doing a lot, like a big jump versus a little hop. They sound different.
I love that. Have you played any of these games before?
I have. Well, I would never qualify because when I think of gamers now, I think of people who are on Twitch, serious, playing all these games, really good at them. I'm not good at any of them. Have I played them? Yes. I played a lot of like when Super Mario World came out. I remember I had a roommate who had gotten that as a gift and got a PlayStation or whatever. But what's the system? Okay, because
It's
I got
Nintendo,
busted
right?
on
You guys, Nintendo,
It was a Nintendo.
Switch, or what is it?
No.
For all of us, for
Around that time, it was something else, but I forget what I called
it
it.
might have
I
been
called it a PlayStation, and
GameCube.
people were like, "A what?"
GameCube, maybe.
I feel like it was even.
Gosh.
I don't know. Anyway,
Anyways, yeah.
whatever we were playing it on, it was hers. It wasn't mine. That's why I don't remember what it was. And we all moved out at the end of the year, and she took it. So
Yeah.
I don't remember. But yeah, we played on that, and I thought we were going to flunk out of school because we just played nonstop
Oh my
all day.
goodness.
Obsessed. That's my thing
Yeah.
with me and video games. I can get really obsessed with them. Like anything that I've had on my phone, I've removed many things from my phone.
Oh,
Because you're just suddenly like, how many hours? Like when you look at that screen time thing and it sees how much time you were on games, sometimes you're like, dang, all right. No wonder I'm not getting anything done.
Oh yeah, that's us in our community. These guys
Yeah.
know. Yeah, in our.
But some of those people are getting paid to do it, so good on them. That's
Right.
great. I'm not getting paid to do that.
Right.
So, I mean, what that means for me, if I'm like sitting around playing games, like auditions are stacking up, and then I'm going to be up half the night, recording and editing and sending auditions out. So, have I played Mario stuff? Yes. And then I've told this story a few times now that there was a really horrible play I was in. Like it was just a really punishing experience, and we were all super miserable. But a really good friend of mine was in it with me, and he was a gamer. And he had bought me in a previous show. He'd bought me a DS Lite because he had gotten a DS Lite right when they came out, and I was obsessed with his because he had Wario touched on there.
Right.
And I would love that game. And so he said, okay, give me money. I'll go get you one. And I said, okay. So he went and got me like a light pink DS Lite, which I still have. And we would race Mario Kart backstage whenever we weren't on stage for this horrible show.
Fun.
we raced against each other. It was like me and him and one other guy. And I remember certain members of the cast just being like, that is so unprofessional. And we're like, you know what? In this particular situation, we're rolling with it. So if you look on my Instagram, there's a picture of me in like a very Victorian looking costume with like my hair up. But I've drawn in the outline of because the dress had pockets. So we would literally just stick them in the pockets of our Victorian costumes, go
Love it.
on stage, do the scene, come off, and then pick up right where we left
Oh,
off.
how fun.
Yeah, so I have played before,
Yeah.
and I have played Genshin Impact, but I'm not great at it. But would I call myself a gamer? No, only because of, time. And it's one of those things where I'm like, if I get into this, I'm going to be really into this and probably want to do this
Yeah.
a lot,
Yeah. How,
just by the amount that I'll obsess over things that.
and then how is it to hear yourself, hear yourself like in the games?
That's the thing. So, like, I had never unlocked myself as Noelle. She's an unlockable
Wow.
character,
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
not good
right.
enough at Genshin to unlock her.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Zach Aguilar, like, did a playthrough for me, and then our director did too, and I was able to finally hear it because they did that. But if they hadn't done that, but it was really fun to hear because you remember when you recorded it, but to
Yeah.
suddenly see how it is in the world and how it plays out to thing, and then hear the other people, because when you record by yourself, you don't get to hear
Right.
the interaction lines. Like when there's scenes and stuff, that stuff's not there yet for you. So that's really fun when you get to suddenly hear the scenes and be like, okay,
Oh,
that's how it turned out.
we're hearing from a few people in chat. I've been meaning to read chat. So looks like it was Super Mario World is on the SNES. How do you say it, you guys? For lack of knowledge here, and then Super Mario Kart is what one of our Johnny Freaking Rico says. Our friend Conjunction says, "Oh, I love Noelle. She is badass." Oh, that's so awesome. I have her maxed out. Oh, you do? Interesting.
Like like a C6 or something, probably.
Probably Super Nintendo. So okay, Super Nintendo. Okay, got it. And it's Johnny said something here earlier. He said, let me go back up. He says, she has a lovely voice like Virginia Madsen.
Oh, that's the first time someone has said that.
Awesome. I want to know a little bit more about like what will you be doing this. So we talked a little bit about the SoCal Gaming Expo, which is coming up this for us here locally in SoCal, California. SoCal, so Southern Cal. My goodness gracious, coming up this weekend. It's 2 days. It's February 26th and 27th at the Ontario. Is it Ontario Convention Center, you guys? Is it?
I believe it is, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing there. And then for some of us that can, for some of us that are here that can come over and watch you, we'd love to be able to interact with with your schedule and see what you're doing. But tell us a little bit what you'll be doing.
For the most part, what I think I'm probably doing is usually you'll have like a table and you're signing prints and meeting people. Like, feel free to come by just to say hi if you want to get a print. People bring in things they want signed, whether it's, I've signed people's switches. I just signed someone's, it was because Samantha Kelly, who does Peach, myself, and Charles Martinet were all just at Pensacon. And so some guy he'd gotten Kenny James at a previous convention, and he had his like driving wheel from one of the games, and
Right.
he got us all to sign it. Like, so he had all
Oh,
four of us
nice.
on there. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I've signed a lot of Switches. I've signed a lot of Amiibos. So if you want to bring items in, posters, books, things like that, and have them signed, that's something that can be done. Or then I have prints there as well. And I don't know if I'm on any panels on this one or not. Have you seen a schedule?
I think I'm surprised. I think some of you guys, Crazy Pac-Man, and I don't know if Mickey's here, but I think one of you guys might have the schedule. So if you know the schedule, can you post it there for us in chat?
And just to be,
Let us know.
I mean, just to be clear, like this is the third event. Like I just started getting into Comic Con, so I did SAC Anime in January. Last weekend I did
Nice.
Pensacon. So this is only my third thing that I've done. So in terms of exactly like I haven't done a gaming expo yet. This is the first one I've done of that. So it's a
Interesting.
little new to me as well.
Yeah.
I was going to say around if people who are there are thinking of showing up, there is, especially for Rosalina, certain things that I usually like. I can't usually sign like sexy Rosalina stuff, So if you have like dark Rosalina or things
Yeah.
of that kind of artwork, I won't be able to sign that for you. That's, Nintendo's kind of a more wholesome family game. So just something to give people a heads up about. If people bring that in, I usually
Right.
can't and stuff like that.
Well, so for those to give a little bit more context for some of you guys, it's called the Retro Oh goodness, it's a retro feel. SoCal Gaming.
SoCal Retro Gaming Expo.
Yeah, that's
So
what
I
it is.
think
So
it's like a lot of old school, like
mm-hmm,
Pac-Man and like arcade games and things
mm-hmm,
like that, and like
right.
old school games. I'm excited to see it, like Atari, probably a lot of that
Yeah.
kind of
Oh
stuff.
my goodness. Yeah. Some of the older stuff. So, and then with the, do you know if you'll be going to TwitchCon, which is coming up in October? Have you?
I have so far. I'm not supposed to be on that, but I think the way these things work is if people want certain people to be at a con
Right.
and they like reach out to that con and say, this is somebody that, we would want you to bring. I think that's a lot of how that happens, from what I'm gathering, is like it's about what people who are coming to the con,
Mm-hmm.
like who they hope to see.
Oh, okay. Let's see what they're saying. So I'm just reading a little bit. It says, I think I saw she is scheduled to be in a panel on Saturday at 2 p.m. So it looks like you're on a
Okay.
panel. Oh, cool. We get to hear her panel.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay.
We're gonna fanboy, fangirl, everybody. We're just we're gonna camp out. And then Conjunction says, well, you can call yourself a nerd if you're going to be at a con. Yeah, well, I'm a nerd. Okay, so whatever. Yes, you can see Atari around there somewhere. Yes, we're all nerds. We're all 100% nerds. I wanted to show you guys a little bit more about her Hannah. Is it pronounced Hannah or
Yeah.
Hannah?
Oh, you're talking about Hannah from
Yeah.
the Weather Girls, or
Yeah.
yeah,
So let's talk.
yeah.
We want to show your compilation, your news cruise.
News Cruise, that's what
Yeah.
it is. Well, 'cause that project, I mean, they've released it on YouTube. I'm not sure where they're planning to go with it, but I really loved doing that character, and I did the little boy in it as well. Like
Right.
there's the girl and the boy, so it's really fun to do two different characters in the same
You
project.
did the boy and the girl. Wow, cool.
Yeah, like
Cool.
if you go to the little boy on there, what the heck is his name? It's an H name too. I'd have to like look at my own page to remember, but
We'll play it. So we're gonna play a little bit of this, and let's see.
Harry, that's his name, Hannah and Harry.
That's it. So it's like a minute 30. So it's not that long, you guys. But well, if feel free to jump in with any commentary on your own work here.
Yard sale! Yard sale! Yard sale! Great job, Hannah! We'll have 1 million customers in no time.
Can you hear
A
it?
million?
Yeah,
We
that
only
voice
have
of the
one
other girl
yard
I'm
to
talking
sell.
is
No, no,
actually
we don't
the
sell
woman who
yard.
wrote
We
it
sell
and
all
one of the
the
animators
stuff we
for it.
wanted.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Can you guys hear it? It's a little loud for me.
The
But I'll turn it down.
boys. What do you want? Copycat newscasters are not welcome at this sale.
Yeah, why don't you take your crew down the road and blabber about the cars going by? Ta-ta, traffic babies. Oh, and if you're lucky, maybe you can feature us in your next traffic report when we cruise by in our mobile news van.
Can't believe we didn't have a single customer all day.
I know. I put up hundreds of flyers around the neighborhood. I don't get it. Those pesky traffic boys. Let's march over there and dump a bucket of glitter on their heads. Oh, and golly, will you look at that? Momo, put your name on one. You could definitely win. Don't worry, Momo. You're gonna beat him for sure. Let's run a campaign on our channel about how great Momo would be for the school.
It's important that you know he only eats the yellow starbursts.
Ew, really? You were amazing, Momo. Oh, Momo, I'm sure you still won.
Sir
Sir
Fluffington
Fluffington
Sparkle Dust? How did this happen?
Oh, I think I know. You're gonna be a great president, Sir Fluffington.
No, it's so adorable. So adorable. All right, you guys. Okay, hold on. Let me just get the next reel ready for y'all. That was the news cruise Hannah reel. Oh, sorry. Oops. Sorry. All right, and then the next reel we're going to show you guys is her comedy reel. So talk a little bit about your comedy reel.
Well,
What
I
is
was going to say,
comedy?
are you sure you want to show the comedy reel? Because that's got cussing in it.
Oh,
Is that
it's
okay?
okay. We're fine.
Okay,
We're
all right.
fine. Everybody
Just
knows
double
here.
checking. I didn't know who your audience was.
It's
so.
okay. I have a curse counter. These guys know. They think that I owe so much money already I have a curse counter, a curse jar, and they're adding money to it. I'm up to like $50, I think, already. So all good. But they won't find you. They'll find me. It's all good. Okay, talk a little bit about some of your comedy. I know that you do improv, or you've done some improvisation.
Yeah, improv, I have to say, has been like, again, like it was a thing I kind of unwittingly fell into and didn't really know how to do it, but it has served me really well because improv is such a huge part of doing animation, video game type voiceover stuff, like the ability to improvise. People are looking for that a lot of times, and I've even on camera stuff. A lot of times, people want you to be able to roll with it a little bit, and are very curious about what you bring. I just shot a short film a couple weeks ago, and we were very encouraged to improvise on that set. To ad-lib stuff in. Like, they wanted us to basically stick to the script, but they were interested in that. In fact, I was just listening to an interview with Adam McKay, who did Don't Look Up, that movie that's out right now.
Yeah.
He's apparently, like, and a friend of mine is in it actually, and she said, oh yeah, we were like really encouraged to improv, and he's kind of known for that, to encourage his, like, Jonah Hill, I guess a lot of what he's doing in there is improvised. Like, they just kind of like set him loose to do what he wanted to do. So it comes up a lot. So I would say, taking improv classes is not going to be a bad use of your money if this is the field that you're interested in, because that ability to get into a character and then to come up with things that they might say in certain circumstances, that will serve you very well.
Okay, we're going to show her reel. Wait, you guys are saying you hear double. When do you hear double? Do you hear double when she's talking, or do you hear double when we're playing the video? The only reason why I have to put the volume through so she can hear it in the stream, or rather in the video, or in the interview. She sounds good now.
You can take my sound out if you need to fix that. That's fine.
Can you hear it though? I just want to make sure you can hear it. So
I've seen it. I did it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't need to hear it.
Okay, when playing the video. Okay, here you guys. We're gonna play a little bit of her comedy reel, or her comedy reel. Cursing aloud.
He's fine. He'll wake up. I didn't realize how strong it would be. I just, thought it would make him just a little more open to me. Do you think this is what all those women were like? The ones that Bill Cosby drugged? Did this out of it?
I don't know, and I don't want to know. We gotta figure out what to do here. If we should bring him to the hospital, or
If he wakes up in the hospital, he'll never go out with me again.
I'm calling Dan.
No! Right, you paid for it. This luxury suite. Why are you keeping score?
How could I keep score? You'd have lost when you were 10 years old.
Movie
That's
that you're
keeping
watching,
score.
this was the last thing I
Yeah,
did
the
before the
light,
pandemic. It was literally the weekend before it all got declared a thing. And I remember us just kind of being on set going, I don't know. I mean, do we like hug each other? Do we say goodbye? Like, what do we do?
Right.
Like nobody knew what to do at the end of that. And then I think the intention had been to like enter it into film festivals and stuff like that. And we, obviously none of that happened. And it was literally just like November, I want to say, of last year that I finally saw it. Like we actually screened it and we're entering into stuff. Like it got into a couple film festivals, and one of them was in Culver City. And I was able to go see it, but it was on a delay.
Oh, wow.
You can always see where someone is.
Yeah, that's a touchy subject right around the pandemic, but it looks like I think your character choices in everything here. I was watching this earlier. I was like, wow, look at this, you guys.
Let you get married in it.
Playing a drunk on Grimm.
I got married in it twice, and they both
Grimm was a
ended
very
up.
fun show to work on.
This dress is nothing but bad luck. I'm doing you a favor.
I don't know if you could see in the background of the shot, there's a woman in a blue bathrobe.
What did you put
Oh, here, you want me to go back?
Yeah, if you go back,
Sure.
and there's a woman in the blue bathrobe.
Here somewhere, or is it further?
Yeah, like when they're on the other girl, like right back
her.
there.
Okay,
You know who that is?
No, who's
That's
that?
Dee Wallace, who played the mom in E.T.
Oh, how nice! Oh,
Yeah,
how
she
nice
was
was that?
She was great.
Yeah.
She's so lovely.
But
I
bad
love it.
luck. I'm doing you a favor.
How was it? How hard was it to play a drunk?
Well, the thing about drunk people is think about the drunk people you've been around. They're trying not to be drunk,
Yeah.
right? Like most people who are drunk are trying really hard to like be fine.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the key to playing drunk.
I love it. Awesome. All right, you guys. So let me get the next cue ready here for you guys. Just a couple more questions. We're just go back to the regular questions that we were going to talk about. Okay. Now, can you talk about some upcoming projects? I know we said there were some things that we couldn't mention, but talk about what you can talk about.
Well, just something I just saw today that I was actually like, oh, I'll have to post about that is there was a movie I shot. It was like it's a Lifetime movie, and it looks like it's going to be out like maybe next week or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have like one scene in it, but it's called, what's it called? Framed by My Sister. It's hard for me to remember the title because it had a different title when I was working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just have like one scene and a flashback scene. I play the main character's mother just like in one scene in a flashback. So I may not even be in it. I haven't seen it yet, so it's possible that those things get cut sometimes for time. So
right.
I don't know that I'll actually be in the final cut of it, but I see that that one's out now, so maybe I'll be in that. You always have to say that when it's a smaller thing.
Yeah.
Like if you're the lead, you can probably be like, I'm in there. But yeah, anytime it's like a smaller role, you're never really sure.
True.
So I've got that coming up. There was something else you've got SoCal Retro Gaming Expo this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I actually filmed a TV show yesterday, but I don't know that I can say what it is yet. But I'm pretty good about announcing stuff on my Instagram. Oh, there's a dubbing project I've worked on that you can watch on Paramount Plus called 100 Days to Fall in Love.
Oh,
And
nice. Okay.
I'm the mother and I'm the what do you call it? The headmistress of the school. And then I'm the main character's mother in that. So she's like, the daughter's name is Laura, and then I play the mother of Laura in that. But weirdly, here's a weird thing on that project. It like only after like episode 13, there was someone else who was doing it first for a little bit, and I don't remember what happened. And so then I came in, but I recorded everything, but then I think the stuff from the first actress got sent in, and then I pick up somewhere after episode 13, then it's me from there. But yeah, that's a dubbing, but it's like it's a telenovela basically, but it's a pretty funny show. Like I've dubbed a lot of that kind of stuff. Telenovela type stuff, but this one actually is quite a funny one.
Nice. Dubbing is a whole different project, y'all. You know, when she has to, or I'm not going to speak for you, but I know that I used to work for a small gaming company called Bandai when they used to do the overdubbing from Japanese to English, and just watching them and how painstaking it was for them to get all the mouth flaps to correctly match.
It's hard. Yeah. The translation, like cartoons is a little easier, right? Because the mouth just kind of does this, but when it's an actual person and your lips are making really specific sounds, like they're ending on a w or whatever, and the actual translation from that language to English, the word would be different. So sometimes, depending on how well translated a dubbing project is, you spend a lot of times just like rewriting it, like just trying to figure out anything to try and get it match up that means the same thing. And then some projects don't want it messed with too much. But yeah, that can be really tricky. But yeah, dubbing was something I had never done till I moved here. Like they weren't really doing that in Portland. Like I didn't know anyone who did dubbing. I didn't know of any place that was doing it. And when I moved down here, I remember going to the audition, and they kind of had like one person in the booth doing it, and then the other person was on deck waiting outside. So I'm waiting outside. There's a girl who goes in before me, and then she comes out and she just looks at me and she goes, "Good luck," like that. Like she'd had this horrible experience. And I remember being like, oh no, what's going to happen when I go in there?
Oh my goodness.
And then I went in, and I remember they were looking at my resume and they went, "Oh, you have a lot of theater experience. That's good." So remember when I was saying voice acting, like that link?
Right.
For dubbing, that's particularly important because you have to sound like you're crying. Like you have to get really mad.
Yeah.
Like you're matching the performance of the actor. You're not just like reading words. You are actually playing scenes, and you're just playing them in your language. But for anyone who watched like Squid Game, right? Like that, that was a super popular thing that was dubbed, and that those voice actors who were working on that project had to match the heightened stakes of the game, like when things were really intense and they're playing these games to live or die. Like that's something you really have to think about with dubbing. So I remember they were like, "Oh, that's really good. You have all this theater experience." I was like, "Okay." And then they put a thing up, and I tried it, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know how well I did, but I didn't think it was that bad." And then I ended up getting work from that.
I love that. That's a great.
Continued on.
Love it.
Yeah.
Let me go back up and read some of the chat real quick. It says, all your base, all belong to us. I'm not sure what that means, Johnny. I guess it's from a line, or not sure. And then we have Conjunction, who says, he says, "I wish they would have casted you for it. Always Sunny. I think you would have done an amazing as D." There you go.
Oh, they're talking about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Is that what it is, Kev?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's like It's Always
that's what it means.
Sunny.
It's Always Sunny. I think you would have done amazing as D. Oh, great. Awesome. What else is there? I'm just trying to read a little bit more chat. So we got a few more people. Yes, I saw you. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me go back and read. Yes, I saw your routine and it's hilarious. Nice. I love the dubbing they did on the original Iron Chef. Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Okay. All right. We're going to get to the Q&A in just a little bit, you guys. I want to show a little bit more on her of her reel. We're going to show it's Kana, male Kana voice clips, Fire Emblem Fates. So give me 1 second. I'm going to cue it up. I appreciate your guys' patience, y'all. Okay, here it is. Can you hear it?
Can I hear it?
Here.
No. But again, I don't.
Happy
It makes
birthday,
it weird.
Mama. Big brother, big brother, big brother. Big sister, big sister, big sister. Leo, Elise, Takumi, Sakura. Leo, Elise, Takumi, Sakura. Azura, Azura, Azura. Everyone. Father, thank you. Huh? What? No, it can't be. Well, understood. I trust you. Oh. Oh. Right.
I love all these
I
voices.
see. Listen. Yes. No. Hey. Yeah. Yes. I'm so sorry.
I've been so intrigued by voice acting, you guys. It's amazing. It's like,
Well, it's so interesting to voice someone this age because it's like is not quite a little kid, you know, because when you can go into something that sounds like really little, but they're a little older, and then it's a boy. Like finding where that lives isn't really like where little boys are vocally at that age is a really interesting place because like for instance, I have friends with kids that are like 8, 9, 10, and they answer the phone, and a lot of times, you know, you might think their voice is high, but it's a boy. But I remember like often mistaking my best friend's son for her.
oh,
Like when you know what I mean? Because their voice is a little higher at that point, but then it still has a little bit of that deep timberness. It's hard to isolate. That's a hard one to do.
okay. I want to show some of you. I want to show you guys. Hold on. I think you can hear me double again. Sorry, I have to go back to my mixer, turn it off. Okay, I want to show some of her commercials. I wanted to. We pulled a 1-minute mom commercial for, I think it was HP. But I wanted to show this to you too because it just because you've heard a lot of her voice acting. You saw a little bit of her comedy reel, and there's a dramatic reel that we're going to show as well. But I wanted you guys to see a commercial of hers that she did for HP. And here it is.
Which I don't talk in, right? If I'm
no, I think it's it's
just visual.
Here's what Gwendolyn needs to do before she leaves for work. Prepare 3 breakfasts. Fix 2 lunches.
You're the perfect mom.
There you
Plan
go,
1
making
dinner.
lunch. Or breakfast, I guess. See, I don't even know what meal it is.
I think it's
Someone-
breakfast. I think
Yeah, breakfast.
Save $3.
I think it's cute.
Yeah, no, that's cute. Those are very cute kids.
Get 2 sheets of graph paper.
Look at how wide-eyed he is.
And give 1,
Oh,
no, 2
They're
hugs.
really sweet.
So
I've had
cute.
more fake kids.
HP
Yeah,
brings you the world's
right? Like
first
if you like matched up
web-connected
with
printer.
random kids all the
Life on
time.
the go just got a
Hilarious.
little bit
I think that was it, right?
easier.
I like that one. So she's very, very versatile. I love that. I love her. Thank you for allowing me to show some of these. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
You guys can also find it on her website. I think it's laurafaysmith.com.
LauraFayeSmith.com.
You can find some of that there. All right, real quick. Let me go back to the questions here. So, so we talked a little bit about your work, your projects that you're working on upcoming. For someone who's like aspiring to be a voice actor or an actor, or what words of wisdom can you instill upon some of our listeners and our followers and would-be actors?
I would say, I mean, the biggest thing I like to remind people, like it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Like, yes, for some people it's going to happen really fast, but for most people it builds. Like, you know, you start doing certain things and there's certainly people who've like booked something really big in the beginning and then go through a lull, and that doesn't mean it's over. It just might mean for whatever reason that was your time, and there's going to be like another period of time where you're going to be doing other stuff, and then it could happen again. I tell people if you want it bad enough and you stay at it and you keep working at it and you keep training and you keep trying, there's very little reason to say it won't happen at some level. Will you potentially be, you know, making 6 figures and famous? Not necessarily, but will you be a working voiceover actor? Probably, yeah. You know, like you will probably, and I guess it really depends what that means to you, what your goals are. If you're like, no, I don't consider this satisfying unless I am like super famous and walking red carpets and, living in a fancy house because of all the money I made. Like if that's what you need from it, that's fine and that's your goal, but that might be harder and take longer and have a lot more ups and downs to it. But if you're like, I just want to be a working voice actor, no reason why you can't do it. Because if you look at all the different things that means, I mean, if you look at my career, I do commercials, I do animation, I do video games, I do audiobooks, I do dubbing. There's just like this gamut of stuff that I do, and I'm not closed off to any of it. You sometimes hear actors who say they won't do commercials because,
Right.
they think they're dumb, and I'm like, yeah, but they pay really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And if it's this is your career, like, there's parts of every career that people don't love. It's not their favorite part, but if it's financially solvent, and it like really like pays your rent, then it might be worth looking into.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously, like, yeah, you don't want to be involved in a whole bunch of projects that you think are absolutely terrible. You do have to use your judgment around that. There's a lot of stuff out there that isn't good. But sometimes when you're starting out, getting experience is really important. So, like, being like, no, this isn't straight from Netflix. I won't do it. It's like, go ahead and do the student film, go ahead and do that project for, free or for just the IMDb credit or things like that. If you don't have anything on your resume because you just want to get the experience and learn, it's like having an unpaid internship in some other career. That's like how you learn and build credits. So I do think people shouldn't be convinced like that the path to it doesn't look a certain way. Your path is going to be your path. And if you're on a real time limit with it is probably when you're going to feel the most disappointment. If you're like, it has to be this way by a certain time,
Right.
let that go because it may all hit at once. You may be wildly successful right out of the gate, or you may work for years and years and then finally have some success, or you may always just like kind of work like have a really steady career of working with smaller wins all along the way. And nothing that was ever massively famous. But if you're happy, like if you just are taking great enjoyment from doing the work and having that career, then you should do it.
I love what she said, smaller wins, right? So it's like
Yeah.
little milestones, but wins. Wow, I love that. That's a great way of looking at it.
If you look at the stuff I've done for like Mad Head Games, like that's not something, it's not like, something that has the profile of like Nintendo or Genshin Impact or something like that. But I really appreciate all the work I did for them because I learned so much in that process. And it like was me creating a lot of different characters for them. And hopefully people enjoyed it when they played those games and I got paid.
Right.
So I don't that like I guess that would be considered a smaller win because nobody's going to like come up and ask for you to sign a print from that or something. But does it make it any less legitimate that you did voice work that you earned money for and that you had a good time doing it? No, you absolutely did.
Yeah.
So I celebrate all of it.
I love that. That's great. See, you guys celebrate. And would you recommend voice acting classes or theater or acting classes? Would you recommend those
would
as
say
well?
For sure, like if you're in school, like if you're young, you're listening to this, if your school has a drama department, take it, and audition for plays at your school. And the same if you're in college, do that, sign up for classes, go take that. Take it as a minor. Like if you want to be an engineering major with a theater minor, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a really interesting combination. And then from there, you can do community theater and like let's say you're out of school, but you want to try something, community theater is the way to go. You can take acting classes like at a lot of times at a local community college even, or, if you've got a community where someone is teaching acting classes, take that and see if you like that. Like if you don't like being an actor, if you get in there and you think it's boring or it's irritating or you don't like being directed, some people don't, but that's not the job for you. Like if that's where you're at, you're like, do not tell me what to do. Do not tell me how to act.
Yeah.
That's not a good match for you. Like in terms of like, if that's what you need is nobody to ever give direction, this will be a really frustrating career.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I say, take acting classes for sure. Take improv classes for sure. And then in terms of like learning different, like real specific voiceover ones, yes, but it's going to be infinitely more helpful if you've got some level of an acting background coming in. Because I have taken classes for sure with a mix of people, and some people have a really strong acting background, and some people were just like people with a really great voice. And whenever you get into anything charactery, and there's a lot, even in commercial work, there's a lot. Or even narration, sometimes where you're trying to sound dramatic, like
Right.
just having a pretty voice is not the thing. It's about storytelling.
Right.
It always comes down to storytelling. And that's really what acting class is teaching you is storytelling.
Yeah, I love that. That's great advice, everybody. So heed some of the advice that Laura Faye Smith is saying in terms of, if it's step out of your comfort zone. I have to tell myself that every once in a while, step out of my comfort zone and not be, and as she mentioned, when voice acting and acting uses everything within you, from your head to the toe, basically. You're just putting your all your emotions in it. You're finding ways in which to make it believable, or to portray the role that you're playing, right? So I 100% believe that step out on a limb and go for it, and just really reach for the stars. Does Laura Faye Smith ever get scared? Does she do you freeze up? Do you get clammy hands like sometimes I do? I do this for as many. Oh, by the way, you guys, I wanted to announce this tonight because I'm super excited. Laura Faye Smith is my 100th podcast episode. I just did the math. I know, she's my
Congratulations.
100th. I'm so excited. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you. I saw I was looking through my podcast and looking at the numbers and whatnot, and I said, "Oh my goodness, she's my guest 100, and what a milestone!" I've always wanted to get to 100, and what better way to do this than with you, Laura? I'm so excited.
Well,
Thank you.
and I was going to say, how many listeners did you have when you started?
When I first started, oh gosh. Not even a handful. I could count all of them in one hand, honestly.
And look at where you are now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. You stuck with it. That is so much part of it, is that, not sitting there obsessing over the fact that you only have 5 listeners or whatever, and that you're I'm doing it anyway because I'm interested in it and I'm going to keep doing it. And just giving yourself permission to continue. That's a big part of any kind of creative career, because there's always tons of reasons not to do it, and that where it doesn't feel popular, or people are appreciating it in some way. But if you're doing it for you because you're genuinely interested in it, that's a great reason to keep going.
And I was mentioning, because I could set up, and everybody knows, everybody that's been a guest on the show, or we have several other podcasts that we've been putting together. We've been brainstorming a ton of different types of podcasts. We have that one called Mixed Talk. We have Girl Talk. We have, oh snap, that's the new one I'm supposed to announce. Darn, I just slipped it. Darn. Darn, you didn't hear that. Close your ears, everybody. You didn't hear that one. And then the Annie Talk Show. But honestly, as we, even tonight, as we were preparing and all the little snags that we had to work through, I get so nervous and clammy, and then, but as soon as we get on, it's it's your gig. Does Laura Faye Smith ever get like that? Do you, before you go on to record, or when you step onto stage, do you ever get it's cold and clammy, or how do you get over those nerves? Is my question. How do you?
I used to have them really bad for stage audition, right? I used to be really nervous before that, and it's hard because you're if you're taping an audition and you're nervous, at least you can be that was terrible because I was shaking, or I was really nervous, and you can do it over again. But if you you're live, you have to just keep going. So it's been a while since I've had big nerves like that, but I kind of love it when it happens, because it means I'm working out of my comfort zone. That's what that means. It means that you're doing something that's challenging you, and that's a really exciting place to be. So when I feel that, I'm always a little bit oh, that's what that means. I'm nervous because I'm not 100% sure of what I'm doing. It's, when you've done something that you've done a lot, and you feel a lot of confidence around you, you're yeah, I got this. Usually won't have that. But whenever I've felt that kind of I'm trying to think, because I feel there was something recently where I got nervous, and it was I hadn't felt that way in a while, and it almost made me trip up even more, because I was noticing how nervous I was, and I was I can't remember what it was I was doing. Oh, well, I know one thing a situation where I did feel a lot of nerves. Have you the game show To Tell the Truth?
Yeah.
So I was on that in February of last year, a year ago. It was just a year ago.
Oh, nice.
It aired February of 2021. Okay. And so when we did that, I was really nervous because you're lying, right? I was one of the imposters on that show. So the premise of the show, for people who don't know it, is you've got 3 people. One is the real person, then 2 people are the imposters. And then there's a celebrity panel who asks you questions, and then they're trying to figure out the real person and the imposters. so I was like on a panel because I have actually a very, very good memory, like almost photographic memory.
Wow.
So they had asked in the audition, they were like, is there anything, any fun facts about you or whatever? And so I had said, oh, I have, like a freakishly good memory. Well, they had a real person who actually has, what do you call it? I think I can't remember the word they used, but it's almost like an encyclopedic memory where an autobiographical memory, something like that. Literally,
Yeah.
if you picked a day, she could tell you anything that had happened to her that day. And she kept years and years and years of journals. So if you like flipped to a page and you went, July 10th, 2009, she could tell you where she was, what she ate, and she had written all that down. There's no way anyone could memorize that.
Right.
And she's like, right, or if, you pick a really famous date, the only thing about it was that she had to have some level of a connection to it. So it was something she didn't know about. It's not like she knew everything in the world. She knew things that pertained to her. But so I was like, well, what if they start throwing out dates, and I don't even know what happened on that day or whatever. Like that was like one of the things I remember being like really, really nervous because I was like going to have to like lie on television about things because I was and that was my job that day.
Right.
Like I was supposed to do that. But I remember being really nervous about it because I was like, oh, what are they going to, because I had no idea what I was about to get asked.
Yeah. Oh my
And
goodness.
who's the celebrity panel was Donald Faison, Cheryl Hines, and Brad Garrett were like asking us questions, and I just remember being like, "Oh God, what are they going to say?"
Oh my goodness.
But two out of the three people thought I was the real person.
Oh, how funny. We'll have to watch that. So wait, it was in February. Can we go back and look at that? Can we, is
It,
it
it
something
aired
that,
back
yeah.
February 2021, and I don't remember the other guests that were on, but those were the celebrity guests. Would be Cheryl Hines, Brad Garrett, and Donald Faison. To tell the truth, yeah. And so like I think Brad Garrett was the only one who guessed the real person.
Oh, fun. We'll have to
And
go.
then it was really fun to meet her because like her memory is just incredible.
Yeah.
Like like that she has this
I
thing, and
love
it's very, very rare. Like not a lot of people have that.
I love it. We'll have to Google it, you guys. We'll have to have a session where we can all watch it together. DJB says the nerves keep us at our best. Yeah, 100%. And that's what we were just talking about. Because literally, I mean, we were a little bit late. Part of why we were a little bit late was just obviously, as you guys know, we were sound checking and whatnot. So I ran into a couple snags. And I was like nervous. Oh my goodness gracious! But as soon as everything came on, comfort zone, and now we're at our best, both of us. So I'm excited that Laura was so gracious, like I said, to be here. I have one more reel, you guys, to show. The butterflies mean, Johnny says, the butterflies mean that you care about the performance.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's true. I agree.
Exactly.
It matters. And so yeah, so I think nerves are very positive as much as they like rattle you. Like if you're having them, it means the job matters, that you care.
Yes.
And that you're not 100% because you're being challenged. And that, like, what an exciting place to be.
Exactly. Oh, the challenges. I love that. I mean, you touch on the nail in terms of being challenged, and then how gratifying is it when you nail it and you deliver, a masterpiece. It's beautiful.
Or if you don't,
Yeah.
and you are able to learn from it,
True
right?
that.
Like I
True
don't even
that.
think that like having something that fails. I mean, let's define failure.
Yeah.
Like there's things that are seen as failures and flops, and it's like based on what? Like on how much it sold, how much this or that particular person, a reviewer maybe liked it.
Right.
But like if you think of certain shows that like think about all these shows that get canceled that have tons of fans. Like isn't Firefly like a show that had like it didn't run very long, but people like there was a huge fan base for it, I think. I feel like there's certain shows out there where they get canceled and then
Yeah.
the fans are like, no, that you realize that there's this like really strong following out there. And even though the network is like, it's not getting enough viewers or it's making money, is that show a failure because it got canceled? Not if
Yeah.
there are these people there who loved it and it brought them all this joy, then no, that project's not a failure.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fact that it's even touched as many people as it did, right? It means something. That's to me, I always fear like, oh goodness, I'm gonna go live and nobody's gonna be here, and then you all show up, so it's like, oh yay, I love it. So it just makes it that much more gratifying because you're doing something not only do you feel passionate about, but that other people find joy in watching, joy in enjoyment and entertainment, and you deliver all those values to them. And even if if it means just to get away from, their daily lives or whatnot, and just come to the TV set or to your monitor, your video screens and whatnot, and just watch for just,
And I think there's so much community sometimes in the things like the amount of people like at Pensacon and SAC Anime who came up with their parents, right? Who were like, we play together, like we play as a family. I'm like, that's fantastic. Like this is something the parents liked and they shared it with the kids and the kids like it. This is family activity. And they'll tell you all about, who usually wins and what they race in main as and things like that. And I think that's the nicest thing. I actually at SAC Anime took a group photo with a family because they're going to use it as their Christmas card.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like this is their family's thing, that they and my best friend actually like goes to cons, and they did that for one of their Christmas cards they took with Weird Al Yankovic. Like their whole family really loves him, and they like all dressed up as him and different characters and took a photo together, and that was their card that year. And I think that's so cool when it's like a family thing and everyone loves it together.
I love it. I'm the biggest nerd. You'll find me at trade shows. I will like leave when I used to work at trade shows, when I used to travel for work and be at a trade show, I'd have my own booth to show product and whatnot. But then every time I would take a break, I was always taking my camera out, and I'm a nerd, going around and showing all the little happenings that are going on, and people would be like, where are you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm at the con. I'm the biggest nerd. I love it. It's just the
Have
vibe.
you seen my Instagram?
No.
That it's like, oh, well, I do a reel every day after each day of the cosplay because I'm sitting at this table and all these great costumes are walking by. And so I like a lot of times will ask people if I can take their picture and post it. And they're always like, yes, everyone always says yes. And it's so nice. But I am just the theatricality of it, as someone who's like lived in theater and the detail, like you'll see on there, there's a Noelle, a girl who came as Noelle to Pensacon, just blew me away. It was so good. I mean, everything was impeccable.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool when you see stuff like that, and then just all the various other characters people come up with. Some things I recognize, and even if I don't recognize it, just the elaborateness, the amount of people who use 3D printers to build full suits of. They're like, oh, I worked on this for a year. There was one in one of the reels I did. This guy did something from the Dark Crystal, where it's got like this head that kind of like bobs around, but his son is in there, and it's got like these two different hands. I mean, it was amazing, and the artistry that people have. And these are people who are like working other jobs.
Yeah.
And, they're not like in special effects in LA. These are people who are like local to that area, and this was a passion thing, and they did it, and I think that's incredible. And I love like getting to talk to them about it and see it, and that's one of the reasons I started creating those reels, is I'm like, for anyone like me who had never been to Comic-Con and didn't really realize the level of what people did, I was like, I'm going to post this. This is like one of the best parts of this whole thing, is meeting and talking to people and getting to see their artistry.
Yeah. Oh, Johnny had said taking a Toastmaster class helps to get over the nerves when speaking in front of people. Yeah. And so does improvisation, like, as we were mentioning earlier. That's one thing I had always said that I wanted to do, was take an improv or take a few improv classes so that I could think on my feet. Even though I do podcasts and whatnot. Oftentimes, you guys know that I'll have a little bit of a script, and then I kind of deviate away from the script because it grows into another conversation and whatnot. So, but that's one thing I've always wanted to do, is to be able to take an improv class, just to be able to think off my feet. But one thing that you touched on too, Laura, that I wanted to ask you about is at cons, like when you go to cons, when we say cons, you guys, conventions, you know what that means, right? So we're interchangeably using the word cons. We're not saying something wrong, like we're
like a con artist.
Yeah. So at cons, you said a little bit, but what are some of the things that you look forward to at cons, besides taking?
Well, I've only done two, so I can certainly not call myself an expert.
Okay.
But interacting with fans who come up, that's a great, again, and watching the cosplay, like I was saying, like just kind of that whole thing. I love walking through the marketplace area, like where people, like all the cool, like I love all that kind of
products and
cool anime stuff, and like just that amount of like thing, just walking through there, it all is so beautiful and interesting and fun. And I actually love doing the panels. They're really fun. Like when people come for panels, for like a Genshin Impact panel, we just did a really fun panel at Pensacon, which was, it was me, Samantha Kelly, and Charles from Mario. And then they had Patricia Somerset from Legend of Zelda, and then Steve Downs from Master Chief from Halo. Did I say Steve Downs? I can't remember. I'm not. I might be remember. I just met him this weekend, so I might be saying his last. But Master Chief from Halo.
Okay. Oh, Master G, you guys from Halo.
Master Chief, yeah. And then I think that was it. I think that was who the panel was. But it was so fun. People asked such great questions,
Oh, I
and then
love
it was really fun to hear the stories because, like, again, I had met Samantha and Charles before, but I had never met Patricia or Steve, and so like getting to hear their stories and talk. I was as entertained as the audience, like listening to them tell their
Yeah.
stories. So
Oh,
meeting other voiceover artists has been like a really fun thing because you work alone a lot.
oh wait,
voice artist.
was that the picture I think I saw of your whole group at dinner?
We were standing
or-
outside in front of like a brick wall.
Yeah,
It was, we
yeah.
had just done a panel together. And that was a really, really fun panel. We had a great time. And again, I was like laughing just as hard as the audience at some of the things people were saying
I
on
love
the
it.
panel.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. We do have one more reel, and then I'm going to ask my mods to compile all those questions if you guys can. I know that I hope we're not taking too much of Laura's any more of her time, but hold on. I want to just show you guys a real quick reel here. And then, like I said, can we get one or two of you mods to compile all the lists for us, please? And then we'll show this last reel. This last reel, I believe, is on her dramatic reel. You're gonna
I
hear it
had to
twice.
come home after my father died.
Deanna.
Why stop her now, Mom? Well, I'm just saying, I came home and you didn't. I mean, that's what happened, isn't it?
False teeth. I mean, how do you get into that?
You know what, Rosalie? I'd be okay with all of that. Really. But not showing up for your own father's funeral? Even a drug addict can pay a little respect.
Stop it, Deanna!
Well, I'm sorry, Mom, but we haven't seen her in 7 years. And we might not get another chance. And I was so excited to finally meet him, and then nothing. So yeah, I put a little in his drink. And we kept talking, and he started to loosen up, and I was like, okay, perfect. I can tell him, I can say, hey, you're gonna think this is hilarious. But then he went from 0 to 60 so fast, and all of a sudden he's like slumped over the table, and I'm like, oh my God. And then the waiter came by, and he's like giving us this weird look, but I kind of patted him and said, oh, you know, he's just had a long day. It's like I would if he was my actual boyfriend. Look, I don't want anyone to treat you differently, okay?
Please come back. It's a short film.
That drunkie is not coming back for you anyways, and you don't need a man in your life, okay? I grew up without one, and look at me now. I mean, God, look at this car, look at this little kid. Doing okay. Yeah. Listen, I promise I won't make you wait for me again, okay? Sick and tired of fighting with you about this. I need sleep. I have to work tomorrow.
I work too, just because I don't have a paycheck.
It's not the point. Get rid of Ben right now.
He's got nowhere to go. I told him he could crash
I'm
tonight.
done, Robert. Done. He can get a motel. Someone stole my debit card while I was sleeping.
Really? Oh, that's awful.
That guy's British.
Is he?
You think I stole?
Yeah, he had to lose his accent.
I never guessed.
What?
Oh, that's
I
interesting.
bought all that stuff with my own money.
What money? You're late on rent. You can't afford $50 a week. You're out.
I've got nowhere else to go.
That is not my problem.
Next day, the toxicology report comes back. There were traces of calcium gluconate found in Everett's system. So I got a warrant, we searched Adriana's room, we found a tube of calcium gluconate, a bottle of saline solution, and a hypodermic syringe with
Was
traces
this
of both.
an audition?
Adriana
That's
and
an
Jody
audition.
mixed
Like
the
sometimes
calcium
they'll go ahead
gluconate
and
say
because
they
if you don't have like a
heart
clip
attack.
of something from a show, they'll ask if you have an audition they can use to show you like what they call procedurals, and that's what that is.
I saw
So-
this and I thought it was I wanted to include it because it shows there was so much emotion in this one. I was like,
Oh yeah, that was like a little short film.
Yeah.
that,
I love this.
oh, you're talking about the whole thing?
Yeah.
The whole,
Well, this scene here. This
Oh,
whole
the
scene.
real, yeah,
yeah.
the-
I loved
yeah.
it. Oh my gosh, I'm such a softie, you guys. When I see people cry, I cry too. And honestly, it was just it was just so I loved it.
Hey, Tom.
She's dying.
Yeah, it smell like garlic.
Making dinner, damn it.
I love that. It's so real.
Yeah, there was like a bunch of that movie has like a bunch of like separate storylines, but it's all about people in kind of a crisis point. And so
Right.
our
I had to
storyline
go
was
home.
that she was dying.
Oh,
And,
goodness.
you know, it just like kind of come home like from the hospital, but it was like not a good prognosis was that storyline.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Yeah.
and I thought it was very well played there. All right, you guys, what was the clip from? Oh, what was that movie from? Or was it a movie?
It's called Burnt Blue.
Burnt Blue?
Yeah, it was a
Burnt
short
Blue,
film.
wifey. A short film called Burnt Blue. We have to watch it. We have movie nights too in Discord, so once
Well,
in a
I don't
while.
know if where that one ended up. Like the thing with short films is, you know, they don't always
You
end
always
up
know.
anywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, you might find them online somewhere maybe, but yeah, that was the name of that one.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna get to our Q&A now. I know I saw a question up there that said, "Will you be at TwitchCon?" I think she'd mentioned it earlier.
TwitchCon was the one you said was in October.
In October, right?
Yeah, as of now, no. But I mean, if people were going to that, and where is it located?
In San Diego this year, right, guys?
Oh, San Diego. Yeah, I mean, tell the organizers like if you have certain guests you want, that's what you should do is reach out to the people organizing it and say, these are people we want. I think that has an influence on things.
Awesome. Okay, we have another one up here that says, Crazy Pac-Man says, just a background on Laura Faye Smith. He's giving background. She is the voice actress of Rosalina in Super Mario games, Noelle from Genshin. So we got that. And there was a question up here. I'm sorry, I had to go all the way up to the top. Can you guys pull down some of the questions and put it here down at the bottom? That'd be easier for me so I don't have to scroll up. If you can, no worries. I'm going to scroll up. I just saw a question from Voodoo too, so give me a minute. Where is it? No, I can't get up that high. See, there was a question. Voodoo, ask your question one more time. Okay, Voodoo says, I know you've done interviews for it before, but how much fun was it working on the set of Grimm? I haven't seen it in a while and plan on rewatching it, but did you have to sit and do the makeup for the fox face? Oh, good question.
Oh, Grimm was really fun. No, the fox face was CGI. And what was really funny, like the story about because what they do is basically they just do like photos of your head from a bunch of different angles with a bunch of different expressions.
Right.
And then they're able to do that. But after Grimm that had come out, I went to an audition for something else and I was waiting in the hall and there were two doors. And so there were people kind of coming in and out of one door that looked like they were coming in and out of an office. And then the actors were being all called in through this other door. So it was like, okay, there must be, an office next to this audition room. And every time people came out of the office, they would like really look at me. Like there were other actors there, but I know people would see me and they would kind of stop and they would look. And I was like getting a little nervous, like, what do I have on my face? Is something wrong? Why are these people looking at me? And then when I actually got called into the room, I realized it was all one big room.
Right.
So the people who were working in the office were working in the back of that room. And then when you were auditioning, they could hear you. Like that was all connected. So I went in and I did my audition. And they said, oh, we want you to read for another role. So, go out and look at the script and we'll come call you back in a second. I said, okay, so I go back. The second I walked out, that door from the office opened and someone came out and they went, did you play Dieta on Grimm? And I was like, I had not ever been recognized. And so I was like, yeah. And they go, our office did all the CGI for it. That's what we do back there. Oh. So they had been looking at my face while they did all that CGI over and over again. So when they saw me, they like really recognized me because I think when you're working that intensely on a project, you're going to like remember that person because they spent hours looking at my face.
Oh, wow. Oh.
But yeah, that was, it was such a cool thing, because I had never done anything like that. Like I remember when they were like, okay, we're going to now take your pictures for that. So they would have you like do different expressions of like normal eyes really wide, or like, your mouth closed, your mouth open from different angles.
Have you seen the CGI? Have you watched it? Have you seen it? I saw it today. I saw the transition for the fox face.
Yeah, that's like it's in my reel. Like
that's right. That's where I've seen it.
Yeah, it's where she
right.
morphs into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Crazy Pac-Man asks, what is it like working with the famous voice of Mario, Charles, and Martinet?
Well, because we don't record together for that game, I haven't actually like worked with him in that way. And I actually just met him in person for the first time last weekend at Pensacon.
Right.
When we had done a panel together prior to that, we had like me and Samantha and Kenny had all been on, and him had all been on a panel together, and I had met him through like Zoom. but yeah, no, in terms of like, have I ever, I mean, you're in the same project, but if you don't record together, then can you say you worked together? I don't know, because you weren't like working off of each other. But yeah, he's lovely. And it was really fun to meet him. And obviously, so iconic
Yeah.
because of years and years and years of doing that character.
Yay. All right. Any more questions, you guys? I think I might have seen one at the top, and I for some reason can't get to it now anymore. So if I missed your question, please ask it again. I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best to get to all of your guys' questions. Let's see. Did I miss one? No? Okay. Wait. Was there? Oh, sorry. Let me go back here and take a look. Can you do the voice for Rosalina for us? I don't want to put you on the spot, but are you able to do your Rosalina voice?
I mean, again, like she doesn't say a lot, so it's like, let's go.
Hey, there you go. Let's go. Yeah. I love it. That's awesome. All right, one more question for anybody. Anybody else have one more question? Because I have an ending question. I didn't see any previous questions. Okay, cool. All right. So my last question to you is: what's one thing about yourself that people don't already know?
I feel like I talked about a lot of that stuff. I kind of have a lot of it in my bio, but I'm a really good baker. I don't know if people would necessarily know that about me, and I bake because I love to eat. So that all goes back to the whole sugar addict thing. But yeah, I'm actually a pretty decent baker.
I wanted to talk about your stand-up paddler. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah. I love stand-up paddling. I learned in Hawaii. That was really fun in Maui. I learned how to stand-up paddle and just kind of fell in love with it, and then have done it many places since then. But yeah, to me, that's just like one of the most zen, relaxing, and then especially if you're in Hawaii and the turtles are swimming underneath you. I will say I went out once when it was pretty choppy, and you don't realize how much your body acts like a sail, so it catches the wind, and I can see how people can get pushed out really easy, and so like I had to keep going down on my knees and like paddling. And there's been a couple times where I was like, okay, I was wondering if I was going to be able to make it back in because the wind just kept like pulling you back out further, and that can be kind of scary.
How fun though!
Yeah, I love it in terms of just like the relaxation of it. And I'm small. I know that if you're like top heavy, so I think like guys who are like really muscly on top have a much, like whenever I've been stand-up paddling with men who are strong and have like higher weight distribution on the top of their body, they fall a lot. Like it's just harder to stay up, like because you're rowing as as you're paddling, but because you do it too, right? You stand up paddle?
No, not at all. I just was intrigued by that because I'm like, goodness, I mean, I give so much credit to anybody that can even balance on the water, on a surfboard, on anything.
I've taken surf lessons too. The first time I took surf lessons was like really close to the pipeline in Hawaii, which was a dumb thing to do. I mean, I've never been more convinced that what I was doing could possibly kill me than when I took that first surf lesson, because when you go down and you've got your leash on your ankle and the board and you don't really know where things are, and that water is like like it's a wave that takes you down, so you're trying to just like come up and get air, but like I remember living in fear of like the board coming and hitting me on the head and knocking me out when the water's like really intense. But so that first experience was pretty rough. But then the girl who taught me to stand up paddle took me to her favorite surf spot, and I was riding the waves all the way into the shore practically because it was just much better, gentler beginner waves. So I started like here when I should have started here in terms of wave level.
Yeah.
So that first experience was pretty terrifying. And I mean, it was like throwing someone in the deep end. But then I actually, when it was better conditions, I did a lot better and I enjoyed it. But man, it is work. I mean, exhausting in terms of like, paddling out and getting up and trying to keep your balance, and fun and exhilarating and exciting, but it's a dangerous sport. I'll say that. It's a stand-up paddling to me it's got a similar vibe. Like I love being up on a board on the water, but it's like walking versus running. So.
I love that you're a baker too. We have one of our gals here in our stream, and one of my moms also who's a baker. Wifey loves nerds. So you have a lot in common, you guys. I envy you guys that can bake. I mean, I can only bake like, cookies.
first learned to bake, I was so bad at it. I remember I tried to, like, there was this girl I worked with, and she had made these cookies, and they were so delicious. And she gave me the recipe, and she just kind of hand wrote it out. And I didn't know that when you make a little t, like a lowercase t means teaspoon, and an
Right.
uppercase t means tablespoon. So
Right.
my measurements were off.
Oh no. Yeah.
They were, I mean, they just didn't, I mean, I had to throw the whole thing out. They did not come together because I had
Oh.
like
Yeah.
ruined them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, baking is science. You got to follow recipes when you bake.
True.
Cooking's like improv,
Yeah.
and baking's like acting, right? Like where you got to follow the script when you bake. That's
Oh.
the acting. And then cooking, like people who are like, throwing in a little bit of spice, and you're searing and sauteing and chopping and splashing stuff in. I had a boyfriend actually, I remember he and his roommate would sometimes make like really great chili or something in the crock pot, and I would be like, "Oh my God, that's so good." And I said, "What's the recipe?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't know. We just made it up as we went." And I would get so frustrated. And I remember his roommate saying to me, "Laura, the problem is for you, it's like an image. Like, you want to be able to bring this in and say, I made this. And for us, it's food.
Yeah.
We're just making it to eat it. And you're like making it because you need it to come out a certain way and you want it to be good." And I was like, that is actually really true.
Yeah.
Like that's where I was going wrong with it,
Yeah.
is that I wasn't having any fun. And that's actually really true with improv. Like if you're not having fun, it's not going to come out. So
But I love your analogy. Say it again. That baking is like.
baking is like doing scripted acting,
go.
like being like a scripted play, and then cooking is like improv because
love
there's a
that.
lot, and it's not that you can't totally improvise in baking, like people substitute things and whatever, but measurements and like fat content in certain things, if you want certain things to turn out a certain way, like you can't make pie crust without some kind of fat, whether it's butter or shortening or whatever it is, because that's what creates the like
Yeah.
the
found-
way it is.
yeah.
It's like it's
Yeah.
science. It's the science of certain things coming together.
Yeah.
Whereas, like if you make a stir fry, you can be wildly improvisational to what you add and what you make that sauce out of the portions, and eyeballing it and going by smell and taste. And then baking, usually that's a little bit
more science.
And I think I gravitated to that because if I followed the recipe, it would come out.
Yeah.
And that was reassuring to me when I was really bad at it. I was like, okay, if I follow this recipe and it comes out, I'll feel successful. And that is true. And then I got more confident about it. And then I like was more willing to go a little off script. But it was only after I'd kind of had some experiences where it's like, this turned out and I didn't have to throw it away.
Awesome. Oh, I love
Which I
that
did
analogy, you guys.
Sometimes.
Perfect. All right. So last, final question. Where can fans follow you? I think we've shouted it out a few times in our chat here. We have your social media panel up there, but besides, Instagram. Let's go ahead and put it out there. I think.
Yeah, it's just my Instagram and Twitter are the two main places I hang out. Like, don't request my friendship on Facebook because I have an account, but I'm never ever on there. You are missing nothing. You are missing nothing. I only have kept my Facebook because I have certain people on there that is my contact information for them, but that's it. Like
Right.
literally, I never post. So you're not missing a thing if I don't add you as a friend on Facebook, and I just don't at this point because it's not where I'm hanging out.
Got it.
So the main place I hang out is Instagram, and then I've been trying much more to get better at Twitter because there are so many video game
too.
fans on there.
Yeah.
So I've been like upping my engagement on that, like really making an effort if I announce it on Instagram to announce it on Twitter as well. So those are the two things, and it's just my name, the way you see it written there, Laura Faye Smith. That's my Instagram handle.
And you can also check her out on her laurafaysmith.com website, you guys. You can see some more clips there. You can see some of her work there.
You can see things on there, but like in terms of what is updated the most, like where I'm announcing projects,
Right.
like the website exists for my reels, like,
Sure.
I can send to casting and stuff, but it'll only get updated if I have a new reel or something like that to show. But Instagram, if you want like kind of most current up-to-date thing, that's the best place to go. Like if I will post on Instagram about SoCal Gaming
Right.
SoCal Retro Gaming Expo.
Yeah.
And talk.
Awesome. Okay, well there you guys go. I'm Laura Faye Smith. Amazing. I'm so glad that you were here and you agreed. I was so I was over the moon when she said yes. I was like, yay. And again, remember, she's my 100th episode and we can celebrate that.
I'm so honored.
Oh, amazing. It was, believe me, I'm honored. The honor is 100% mine. So thank you. I can still get can I still get an autograph? Yeah, if you're going to go to the SoCal Gaming.
Anytime you want an autograph, like, so for instance, I've had people, there's if you contact Celebworks. You can follow them on Instagram as well, and it's works as WORX, so it's CELEBWORX. That's like my agent for personal appearance stuff. If you have an item that you want autographed, you can contact them and send it in, and I can, and it has to, it all goes through them, but you know, they will safely receive that item. I'll sign it and it'll be sent back to you. So let's say you live somewhere else, and you know, there are no cons near you, and that's true for anyone they represent. So if you like look at the roster of people that they have, you can do that, or you can show up at a con where I'm going to be. And again, I'll always announce them. And then also, if you live in an area where you're like, here are people I want at my con, contact the con organizers and say, these are people we want. And if enough people do that around the same artists, I'm sure they'll like reach out to those people and say, will you come?
Yeah. Awesome. I'm excited. I get to meet you this weekend. We get to meet her in person. There's a small little crew of us that are going on Saturday and Sunday. So expect to see us. And I'm going to shake your hand and say, look, I interviewed her.
I look forward to it.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you, Laura. Thank you. Everybody here, you guys, everybody in chat, thank you so much for hanging out. I know it was a long interview. But it was well worth it, don't you think? I mean, we've learned so much about Laura Faye Smith and just how wonderful she is. And, you know, on the fly, she can come up with just great, you know, voices and whatnot. And her list of credits is just, you know, love it. You can check. I think she has an IMDb. You have an IMDb, yes? She has an IMDb, and you can also take a look at some of her
Just
work.
keep in mind, IMDb, not always correct. There are credits on my page that are not my credits, and I can't get them taken off. I've tried.
Oh, no. Okay.
So just so you know, like, take it with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Sometimes like people are like, so tell us about this, like an interview. I'm like, that wasn't me.
That wasn't
And I have no control over that. I have tried to get certain things taken off, and they won't take them off.
Okay, don't go to our IMDb then.
I mean, you can look at it, just question it.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Well, thank you again. You guys, again, chat, everybody, you guys are amazing. My mods, thank you guys also so very much for coming through. I think we had 2 raids here. We had Voodoo, we had Doomy as well. And as we do, Laura, you're going to come along with us. We're going to go raid. This is what we do at the end of each stream. We go and raid people to you know, pay it forward, spread the love, as we say. Yes, see you Saturday, Crazy Pac-Man says. So anybody, if you have somebody that we could raid, let's go do that now so that we don't keep Laura waiting, but we just want to bring her along and just kind of see, you know, what we do when we end stream and then pay it forward. So I don't have anybody in particular. If you guys have somebody, I can look. We can try and look for somebody really quick. Oh, goodness. Oh, there's somebody playing Genshin Impact. Let's see. Is there anybody else that's streaming? Let's see. I'm sorry. I should have asked you guys to go look for somebody to raid earlier, and that was my fault. So let us... Do you see anybody? Wifey, you're really good about finding somebody for us. Let's go find... There's somebody named Relum who's doing travel and outdoors. Oh, I think we tried them once. Janny Whammy Games. She's streaming. Janny is streaming. Ooh, Mario Kart. Heck yeah. Let's go.
Hey.
Let's go. All right. Y'all, if you are already sub to my channel, here's the raid call from my channel. If you're not sub to my channel, you can go and copy and paste this regular generic raid call. But for those of you who are sub, please copy and paste that. How about someone who plays Mario Kart 8 or Super? Yeah, we found Janny Whammy. Janny Whammy Games is playing Mario Kart 8. So let's go raid. Who do you have in mind, Crazy Pac-Man? Okay, good. Okay, Janny Whammies. Okay, y'all, let's go raid Janny Whammies. All right, Laura Faye Smith, y'all. One more time for Laura Faye Smith. Yay! I so appreciate it. Jammy Whammy. What is it? Jammy Whammy. How do you spell that? Lord. Jammy Whammy. How do you spell that? Am I copying it wrong? Jammy Whammy Games. Okay, here we go. We're going to go raid right now. All right, y'all. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Laura Faye Smith, for an awesome time. Thank you. Invalid username. You gave me the wrong name, dude. Invalid username. Did I do it wrong? Raid. Jammy Whammy. Is it WH? Yeah. MMY Games. Am I doing it wrong? Invalid, jam. Johnny. No, just delete the part where it says username. Didn't I do that? Okay, hold on. Raid. Goodness gracious, you guys. Okay. Can you do the raid? Can somebody do the raid? Here, Jammy.
Annie, is this something I'm supposed to go to too, or?
No, it's just
I think I kind of have to go at this point.
All right. Yeah. Okay, Jammy Whammy Games. All right, you guys, say thank you so much to Laura Faye Smith, everybody. Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate it. Take care.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. See you this weekend.
See you this weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, you can go ahead and you can disconnect if you want to. Laura, you can
Okay, I didn't know if we. Yeah. Am I off? Are we off now?
You will in a minute. I just want to. Here, I'll mute you now. Just 1 second. I'm going to mute you in Discord. Give me a minute. Okay. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Laura. See you this weekend. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You guys, why can't I raid? I cannot raid. Jammy. All right, hold on. Here, let's do this. It still says invalid. Anybody else? When I tried to raid earlier, if I hit enter, the text kept adding the username text. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's not letting me raid. Plus, she already left, so we're good. Oh, hold up. Just erase this then, I guess. Here. Are we raiding now? I feel really silly. I can't get it to raid. Well, somebody's not going to be able to. Twitch is screwed up. Okay. Well, I guess we can't raid anymore. Okay. You guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop stream. She's already left, but thank you guys. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Sorry for that technical glitch. I did do that. I 100% did that. Don't hit enter. Don't hit enter after typing. What do I do? Just type raid. What do you mean don't hit enter? Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? It won't let me raid. Click the text box after, then hit hop in Discord. Go ahead and hop in Discord. You can't you jump in the live channel? Oh, we're going. We're raiding her. Yay! We're gonna go right now. Come say hello. Come say hello with me. Never mind, you did it. I did. All right, let's go say hi.
This music though.
I know I didn't even I didn't copy paste my.
Annie Talks Show. Thank you for the raid. Oh my gosh, I've been dilly-dallying. Coming at you. Annie Talks Show coming at you.
Where's my raid call? My regular raid call. Anybody have it?
Raiders.
I can't.
I'm all dilly-dallying. We're talking about scary games.
It's okay.
Welcome in. I thought you were saying there was a musical. Welcome in, my friends. Thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate you. How was your talk show today? Johnny frickin' Rico. Welcome in.
Rico.
Wifey Loves Nerd.
There's the one
Annie,
that I want.
Thank you so much. I never dilly-dally with anything. Great
that
Fox.
Wifey posted.
Thank you. Crazy Pac-Man.
There
Variety streamer currently being a raider. Well, welcome in. Thank you so much. And thank you for introducing yourself. It's nice to meet you.
Cool.
Maybe Hunt Showdown could be fun.
Hold on.
Oh. Is it... Can you... The ones that y'all are recommending, can you totally throw it in the Discord? My brain is non-functional, unleashed, or send it to me. That would be super helpful. How did it go?
Thanks for the
Hello and welcome in. Hello and Wifey loves nerd. I love that name, and thank you so much for the follow. How was the podcast? Did you have so much fun? Thank you. I'm gonna play a real quick video because
Okay,
I swear
you guys
I'm
can
not
watch.
normally in this
You guys
suit.
can watch the video. I have to run real quick. I had to go pick up. Sorry.